Right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyle Renton. I've worked for PNW for a long time now. We started our own research program about 8 years ago. I have Shannon A, who's worked for us for about 5 years. Shannon, I think we just got done, or I seeded the last research trial yesterday up in Pullman. It was actually a breeding trial for Dr. Colvinder Gill, but we pretty much have been seeding trials for the last 3 weeks. So we have trials scattered from here all the way up to Fairfield. Pretty excited, to get to harvest and see what the stands look like. We're right now for the month of, or for the year since September 1st is really when we start recording moisture. We're about 15 and a half inches for Genesee. Winter wise, we really caught up well. Unfortunately, this last month, for the month of April, the last three and a half weeks, we've been pretty dry. I think we're a little over half an inch for the month of April. Of course, we're into May now, and the forecast maybe doesn't look that rosy. I really want to thank this site. This is Dan Nelson's farm. This is a field of Shine Camiac. Looks really good. It was interesting with this blend. A lot of growers have commented on it. About 2 weeks ago, Camiac really got up and got going quick coming out of winter. It was about 4 or 5 inches taller than Shine. Of course, everyone who raises Shine knows it stays really prostate for a while before it really those days start getting longer and it really kicks in that growth. But this a beautiful site. We really didn't pick it for how good the wheat looked. We really picked it for how consistent this 4 acre flat is. And what we have here, we have replicated behind the seed plant in Genesee. That variety is Rydrick. Of course, that's a new one from WSU that we're going to be offering this fall. It actually has tolerance to metribuzin. So pretty excited there. We haven't picked the dates yet for our field days. Looking like it's probably going to be that last week of June, though, just because it seems like the crop's quickly advancing, and hopefully we get some rain in the future. We're getting to where we really need it. The stage of this crop is about 6.5 on peaks. Just starting that second joint. I would assume, Shannon, in about 2 weeks that, the flag leaf's going to be out on it. Maybe sooner. We're actually supposed to hit a high of 80 here today. Last week at this site, I just live about a half a mile from here. Of course, on good old Ammonia Flats of Genesee. I believe on Tuesday I had a low at 21. Next day was a low at 23, 24. And Friday morning was actually the first day that we didn't have a frost, and we sprayed this field on Friday night. So, gonna hand it over to Shannon.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. My name's Shannon A. I've been with the company for full time for 5 years. I interned for Kyle while I was at college at U of I. I interned, and that's where I really got exposed to the trials. I worked a lot with the variety and the foliar trials. I made a lot of the applications, and the longer I've been here, the more I've gotten involved. I really enjoy working with the trials. It's really pushed me to learn and grow my knowledge, and it's been probably the biggest thing to help me in my career, I think, as well. So, as Kyle said, we have two sites. We really like multiple sites where we do the same treatments and we can take an average of both sites and see how an application or a treatment performs over multiple sites, different soil types, different conditions. And so that's what we're looking at this year. Yeah, I made the herbicide treatment here a week ago today. It's grown like crazy just in a week. This is really, really good wheat. We're excited. It's very consistent. So we're excited to see what data we have here. What you see here is a NutriScan. This is a new technology to us. We're really excited and we're learning a lot through this. This uses infrared lighting to measure nutrient density in leaf tissue. Infrared lighting isn't a new technology in the agriculture industry. It's been used for over 40 years, but being able to do it in the field quick, it only takes 2 to 3 minutes to take a tissue sample and really figure out where your plant's at. The thing I really like about it is the timing. Right now, if we took a physical tissue sample and sent it to a lab, it takes 5, 6 days to get the results back. And then depending on weather conditions, wind or rain, you're making that application at least a week after that. And like today, where it's going to be 80 degrees, this wheat plant's going through a lot of growth stages really quick. And so in a week, it's going through 1 to 2 growth periods in this kind of heat. And so The nutrient demand changes in that time. The nutrient density in the plants changes. So we're just demoing this year. We're really trying to utilize it in our trials. We have a few field splits, about a half a dozen field splits with growers in the area. We're really just trying to utilize it to see, it seems like we've hit kind of a plateau with yield. And so we're just trying to see if we can make a more well-balanced plant by spoon feeding deficiencies. We're really excited. Like I said, we have a few field splits. We're going to have a lot of data this year. We're looking at different timings as well. What you see about here, we have different timings and treatments for this NutriScan. Last week, before I made the herbicide timing, I went out and took a tissue sample, and then I made a custom treatment for those deficiencies at herbicide timing. We're going to leave that treatment, take it to yield, look at different timings, see if we did a herbicide and a flag leaf deficiency application, and see if that helps more. It's just all about trying to get data this year and see if we could push potential.
Shannon, you mentioned a lot of deficiencies this year. I think I'll let you hit on that. What's been pretty consistent, at least in most all the fields around Genesee. Um, we actually didn't have a real wet winter. Most of the water that went in, I think coming out of 2024, especially around Genesee, well, it was honestly a fairly dry year. We really depleted that deeper submoisture. You could tell that by the cricks running through town. A lot of these springs, that we typically see run every year. We really haven't seen those springs run for the last two. So interesting though, behind us here on the flat, there's some yellowing out there, or maybe there was some standing water, especially in February when we had all that rain and snow melt. But interesting there, Shannon. I'll probably have you hit on that. It's what we're finding out is kind of surprising.
Yeah, so at this point in the season, I've taken probably 70 or 80 tissue samples with this. I took a lot right at kind of top dress timing, right when the wheat was coming out of winter, starting to actively grow. And that's really what we noticed back here. You could see in the flats, where it's kind of lime green, where it was more waterlogged, where it looks more like nitrogen deficiencies. A lot of those situations, it's actually not nitrogen deficiencies, and that's what we're finding out with this is a lot of what we're seeing is the nitrogen levels are actually okay, but potassium, which directly correlates with water movement in the plant, it's potassium deficiencies that we're looking at. And I know we don't have the ability to go out and make a custom map for some of these treatments, but it's just nice knowing, on a waterlogged front like that, if you went out there with a shot of potassium, help that plant utilize water movement and really keep the sugars moving through the plant, which is going to directly relate to head fill at flag timing. So that's a lot of what we've learned right now, more at herbicide timing and what I've seen in the field. Last week I took 35 samples and they're all pretty similar. And the commons were potassium deficiencies and then zinc, manganese, and boron. Either all three of those or one of the three. That's been the most common. And so what I did back here at herbicide timing is I made a custom prescription. I applied Max NK, which is just potassium acetate. I like the potassium acetate because as the acetate is actually a carbon molecule, it's chelated through carbon, and so it's a lot softer on the plant, it's lower salt index, and it's more available to the plant. So I went out there with potassium acetate, and then I also applied Maxin ZMB, and that's Maxin ZMB Plus. I really like ZMB Plus because it gets, in one package, it gets your zinc, manganese, and boron deficiencies, and it's fully amino acid based, so it's readily available to the plant. That's a lot of our focus, is applying nutrients in a timely manner that are available to the plant and doesn't take a bunch of unnecessary energy to convert it to an available form.
The other thing that most everyone around Genesee, this field got treated with Osprey, even though I think maybe Osprey started to run its course for grassy weed herbicide. But like Shannon mentioned, in the compendium last year, Shannon, you had put together that spray chart. And I think from the 1st of April through June 15th, we had four actual spray days that we were actually spraying on label, be it wind or temperature fluctuations. This year it seemed like it's probably maybe worse, or I don't know. It's been a challenge getting the winter wheat sprayed. So when you're out there making that osprey application, we haven't seen any plant response here from that application. Shannon mentioned, we sprayed this trial, or he came out here, made the treatments last Friday. I believe that was April 25th. And then after he completed those passes, we came out here with the four-wheeler and sprayed this whole 4 acre flat. But Shannon, what are you seeing, or what's kind of the buzz on the street right now, for getting that plant through that herbicide lag or drag, that we've seen, in a lot of different years and under different weather scenarios?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like Kyle mentioned last week, we were seeing temperatures as low as 19 degrees. You can see this weed is getting really big. So there's a stress to get out there and make that herbicide application. Wheat was growing, weeds were growing. And so there's a push to get out there and make that application. But with Osprey and other harsh herbicides, we have a time constraint and a weather condition constraint. So what we've been trying to do is look at products that work as a safener with those treatments. With our windows being shorter in the spring, with having freezing temperatures later, and conditions just being tougher to apply those tougher herbicides, we've been looking at products that work as a safener. And there's a lot of products that we've seen help with that, but the ones I have up here is ATP's Relief OS and Convey Pro. What I like about ATP's products is they have the Convey and the Cell Burst in all of their products. And the Convey is just a dissolved organic matter, it's a carbon source, and then the Cell Burst is a seaweed. And I think that's where we're really seeing that safener help. I think any of our anionic products really help with that, but these are the ones that I've kind of worked the most with and seen the best response. Relief OS is a micro package, but again, it has that Convey, the carbon source, and then the seaweed. And then Convey Pro is just the carbon and the seaweed. And we've been able to see, I sprayed in the back, you can't really see it, but I include Convey Pro with my herbicide, and it seems like it's really helped the plant metabolize that Osprey application and get over that hangover or flash effect a little bit better. And so those are the things we're trying to target is products that make that window a little bit bigger for us in the spring to apply those harsh herbicides.
So just to wrap this up, I've thought about doing this for a lot of years, doing these in-season short videos. Hopefully you guys find them beneficial. We just think it'd be a really good tool, kind of give updates throughout the growing season. Really excited for harvest. This trial, they're 5 foot by 35 foot reps. Of course, everything's replicated 3 times, like Shannon mentioned. We have a duplicate trial in Rydrick. Then we have some grower field splits as well. So, the bottom line in doing all this, we're really a partner with you guys. If we can bump those yields an extra 10 bushel, or whatever that may be. That's just more money for you guys for the farm. It's just that many more bushels that we get to market and handle for you guys. So we truly are a partnership in this with you guys. If you've gotten our compendium over the years or listened to our presentations, it's really about creating a positive ROI for you guys. We really are in a partnership with you. Um, PNW co-op, if we can add 5-10 bushel to your yields, and we can see at least a 4 or 5 return on that investment that you guys make. That's really the products that we're looking for. We really don't want you to go out there and spend $10 an acre if it's only going to give you an extra bushel and a half, and you're just trading money. Even though interest rates are finally starting to come down a little bit, it still costs a lot of money right now to raise a crop, and we understand that. So as soon as the trial data or the harvest gets here and we cut the trials, Shannon and I will start working on the compendium about right after elk season gets over. So about the end of October, but we'll have this data in the compendium. Um, and we'll see. We might be doing a lot of work out here, and we're not going to see any positive ROIs, or maybe we see some negative returns. We're really, for us to move forward, we really have to maintain our integrity now that we're selling a couple of these products. We want to really make darn sure that they're good, and we see positive response years after years. So
Yeah, like Kyle mentioned, it's all about ROI with what we're doing, especially with the NutriScan. That's what's really exciting is to see if we could push it in yield, but also see positive ROI, which is ultimately the goal. So in a few weeks, I'm going to come out and probably make the flag leaf application. I'd imagine 2 or 3 weeks, I'll make that application, apply deficiencies. Again, with what I'm doing too, I'm taking a NutriScan tissue sample before the treatment, and then a week later, I'm taking a tissue sample to see what the plant actively took up and what the nutrient density was improved to through that application. So it's going to be a big year of learning. We're excited to see what we can learn through this, and we're really excited to bring it to you guys.